We've built our AI chatbot and have it running locally. Great. Now we need to deploy it so others can see our awesome work. How are we going to do that? Well, I've got you covered. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kirk, and before we jump right into it, just a friendly reminder, if you like this material, please subscribe. That'll help me out a lot. Now, in our last tutorial, we downloaded some code, made some modifications, and built a chatbot. We have it running locally, and we also built a Docker image, deployed that image to a Docker container locally, and ran it from there. Now, we want to get it out there so others can see our awesome work. To do that, we're going to use Azure. First, we're going to deploy our image to a Docker Container Registry using Azure Container Registries. From there, we're going to take that image and deploy it to an Azure Container Instance so others can see it. Now, we have a lot to cover. I know this tutorial is going to be a little bit different. We're not actually jumping into AI code, models, and like that. But as I said, to be an AI engineer, you have to understand this stuff. So let's jump right into it. Okay, we are back. And if you remember last time, we downloaded our code, we made our modifications, and we built our image, and then we ran it, and we created this Docker Compose file to make it easier. Now, I deleted my image, so if I run Docker Compose up right now, it should build that image, and then we can run it. So I'm just going to do this, and I'll come right back when this is done. Okay, that ran pretty quick actually. So remember we're mapping to port 8085. So if I go to localhost 8085, and there's our chatbot. Tell me about the solar system. I made some changes, so we're not actually going to the reg right now to the Azure AI search, because we're just going to concentrate on, for this lesson, getting this image into a container registry. And of course, we're using Azure, so we're going to push this to an Azure Container Registry. So that's next. So let's go into our portal, look at our container registries, and let's create one. I'm going to put it in the same resource group as I have everything else. I'm just going to call this Kirk Demo. This has to be unique. I'm using RBAC registry permissions. So for the permissions you'll need for registries, you'll need ACR pull and ACR push, which we'll come to later when we set up the service principles for getting our images that are going to be a container registry and pushing it into a container instance so we can actually hit it. Okay, so that's it. I'm not going to worry about networking, encryption, anything like that. Let's just go ahead and create this. Okay, we have our container registry. And you see here, the name is kirkdemo azure.cr.io. Okay, we need that. So what I'm going to do is go back to Cursor here, my IDE, and I'm going to create an environment variable just to hold that name. ACR name, let me just get it here, one sec. So basically I'm saying Azure Container Registry name is Kirk Demo. Now, last time when we built, if I go to Docker Images, we have this AI chat demo, which is what this is, the latest tag. We need to actually give this a different tag. When we actually push it to the container registry, we have to create a fully qualified name here, tag name, with this URL here. So basically, I'm just going to build this again with the tag saying ACR name, azure.cr.io, and the actual name, and with latest. Now, when we start going into CI/CD pipelines, we're going to have to change this from latest, because right now it's always going to be overriding it from the container registry, which is something that, of course, we don't want. We don't want to have versions, but for now, we'll just do latest. So this is going to build it again, And then if I go Docker images, we should see, yeah, so this is it here. It says 5 days because the code hasn't changed. So there's caching going on. It's not rebuilding it because the code hasn't changed. So we just have to tag the name here. Okay, now we can actually push it to the registry. But before we do that, we have to log in. I'm already logged in here, but we actually have to log into the registry itself as well. So what we have to do, once you're actually logged in here, then you actually have to go into ACR login with the name. I think I'm already logged in. Yeah, so I'm already logged in. So you've got to make sure you can do that. And your credentials, you have to be able to have these roles, ACR push and ACR pull eventually. That's for the service principal. But for now, you need ACR push for what you're logged in. I'm logged in as the admin user, so I'm fine. But now we should just be able to push it. So let's go ahead and do that. And that will be with this command here. And that's taking our image that we have on our local and pushing it to the registry. And let's wait. And it should be good. So we have this digest here. Let's go into our registry. Let's click in the repos. There's our AI chat demo, which we just did at 6:14 p.m. Yep, and the same digest. Go to latest, and it's there. And you can see the manifest here. This is going to be a problem when we go to push this to our container instance. You see here, this architecture is ARM64. I'm on a MacBook Pro, and that's what the processor here is. So that's what it automatically builds for. We don't want that. So we actually want to change this and rebuild this. So I'm going to have to go in here and do this again. So let's go back, and I will just show you here. There's this command. We're going to rebuild our image. I am giving it the same command, except for I'm using buildx here, which is the Docker build kit. And I'm giving this a platform. And so I'm saying, give it the platform of AMD 64. So let's go ahead and do that. Same tag name. And then if I push this again, I'm already logged in. So if I go here, let's push this and the latest. Okay, so we have a different key here, AC. Let's go back. Let's refresh this. Yes, so we have a new digest here, the latest. And now we are on AMD 64 architecture. Great. So we have everything in our registry. Next, we're going to create a service principal that will allow us to be able to allow the service principal to actually pull it and push it to container instance. So that's next. Okay, there's actually one other thing I want to do here with our actual files, our Docker file. Right now, we are binding this internally. We're doing 50505. But when we go to production, when we push it to our Azure Container Instance, we don't want this running on 50505. We want it to be able to hit it port 80, standard port. So we want to change that. And what we're going to do is we're going to do it so we can do it dynamically. Let me load a little bit of code here. 1 second. And in our Docker file, what we're going to do is we're going to create an environment variable as 50505 and then expose that port number, the environment variable. And of course, we also have to change the config file. And here we are hard coding the binding. Let's make this dynamic as well. And save these files. And now we can change it in our environment variable. We can go port is equal to 80. And now we can dynamically set that. We don't need that now. We'll need it to go to run production. So of course, I'm going to need to build this. So what I'll do is I'll build this and push it to production, and we will join up again in a second. Okay, that is done. And you can see in here in Azure, here's our chat demo image here. And yes, it's been updated. Okay, next, back to the service principal. Before we actually create the service principal, we are actually going to create a key vault, because the key vault is what we're going to use to store our username and password that is related to the service principal. So give me a second here. So let's set the name here. I'm just giving it a name of the container registry name dash vault. And let's go ahead and create this. I'm just going to use a command here. And I've, of course, already set my resource group. And there it is. So we go here into our Key Vault, our Azure Key Vaults. Oh, let's give this a refresh. There it is. Our demo vault is there. Now, next. Well, first off, I am just going to do this command here. 1 second. I'm just going to give this variable role ACR pull, because basically we're going to create a service principal now, and he's going to have the role of ACR pull, which means he can pull from the Azure Container Registry. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do this big command. I'm going to have to explain this to you. Let's clear this. Let's paste this. Okay, so what this is going to do, it's going to create a service principal user, rollback RBAC user. It's going to give it a name of the container registry name dash pull. It is going to give it the role of that ACR pull, which I just said, and it's going to query in the password. And it's just going to output it. And then this is embedded here. That's the value. So pretty much the value is it's going to create a user, and it's just going to spit out the password. And then from there, in our Key Vault, we already know the Key Vault name. We're going to set a secret as that password. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. There. Okay, so now we have our secret in the Key Vault, and the service principal user has been created. Now, one other thing I want to do here. Let's clear this window, make room. Now we also want to store the username in the Key Vault as well. So that's what this is doing. It's setting in the Key Vault this, the name as pull user, and it's just getting the app ID of the service principal user. So let's go ahead and do that as well. There. Now let's go into our secrets here. Let's refresh this. Okay, so there's the two values we just put into our Key Vault. So I go into users here, and let us show the secret. Let me copy this. Let me do one other thing here. Okay, what I just did here is run a command to get the roles that we've assigned to this user. The user was that ID for this service principal that we copied here in the Key Vault, 0F. And we just spit out the roles. And of course, this has ACR pull. So we are good. We have our service principal now, and we have our values in the Key Vault. Now we should be able to go ahead and try to create a container instance. Okay, first attempt of creating a container instance. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to paste this command here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create a container in the same resource group, give it a name of AI chat. We are pulling the image that we push to our container registry. We're passing the username and password that we have from the Key Vault. We are saying that it's going to be in Linux. Remember, we built it for the Linux platform. These are default values, the CPU, memory, and then we're just querying the fully qualified domain name and outputting it if this goes as planned. So let's go ahead and do this. This might take a little bit of time. Okay, that finished. And you can see our domain name here. I didn't fix this. I have ACR task here as the domain name label. I'll change that because, spoiler alert, we're going to have to do this again because this is not going to work. Okay, so now we go to our container instances, and I already have it up here. And we go into AI chat. We can see, click on the containers, that this is just not loading. And I can tell you it's because we don't have any keys being passed in, and we have to do that. But if we click on here, we'll see that there's no logs available. So we need to fix this as well. And you do that so we can actually see what the error is. So let's do that next. Okay, in order to hook up logs here, we need to create a log analytics workspace. So let's go in here. Let's create one. And the same resource group. Let me give it a name. Let's create that. There, that finished. Now, we should be able to do this simple command to get the workspace ID. You'll see we have the res group and that workspace name, AI chat logs, which is what I gave it. So that should come back. So I go echo workspace. Yep, we have that ID. That should be what this is. Yep, there it is there. And we also need to get the workspace key. And echo that. Yes, there we go. Now we should be able to create our container instance again with logs. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's clear this. But I should probably delete the old one first. Where is mine? Container instances. Let's delete him. And what I've done here, the only thing I've changed is I'm passing in this workspace and workspace key here when I create the container instance. So let's go ahead and try this. And this might take a little bit of time, so I'll come back when it's done. There, that finished. And you can see I changed the name AI chat Kirk demo. So that should be clean. And this should be, let's go see and take a look at it. Okay, so I've already loaded up here. Container instances, yes, there's AI chat. Make sure that's the same one. Let's click in here and let's go to our containers. And container started. Interesting. But this keeps on terminating. What time is it? Yes. So let's go in our logs. Oh, there's no logs available. That's probably because it's not running. But anyways, we have this going. Yeah. So let's go. Well, okay, I know what's going on. I know what we need to do. We need to get our keys and we need to read them from the Key Vault and throw them in there. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, we are back. Now, as I said, we had to get some keys put into our Key Vault. or secrets. Actually, I'm just throwing these as secrets. Now, remember our end file, we had all these variables that we needed to put in, text93 small for the embedding model. So I had to go ahead and do this. And what we're doing is we're putting in these values into our Key Vault. And then we're going to read them when we actually create the container instance. I will show you that now. And here we are. So what we've done, remember last time we had the log analytics, we added this. Now we have a bunch of our variables that we're passing in during the container creation. It probably failed because remember how I made that dynamic change? We're actually running the Docker container inside on port 80 now. That dynamic change we made a little while ago. I'm saying we're running in production, and then we're grabbing a bunch of values. I don't have all the values here. I'm just taking the ones that I know that we definitely need to get this to work. And we're just going to do this, and we're going to create our container instance again and see what happens. Of course, it's just giving output that we don't have all the keys here, but that is fine. As I said, we don't need them all. Okay, that finished. And we have our AI chat up now and running. And let's go back to Azure. Okay, here's our container instance, our AI chat here. Click on that. Let's go to containers. And it started. It's running. Hasn't came down yet. And look at this. We have logs. So this is great because now we can see what it's doing. We can see that it's listening on port 80 now, which is good. Remember we set the port number. This is probably why it wasn't even loaded up in the first place. I'm not enabling tracing. Look here. This we have to change because we have manage identity credentials, client ID of none. And yeah, of course, also I forgot to mention that we are not loading in our reg. That should be here somewhere. Yeah, reg searches will not be used because I didn't set those environment variables. Go ahead and do that after. But for now, I want to concentrate on this other stuff. Manage identity. Okay, so you look in the code. Remember, where is it here? Yes. So we are in production. So it's going to go down here. And I didn't set this Azure client ID, but it's trying to use manage identity. Remember, we have to use manage identity when we're in production and we're running in Azure. You could use key credentials, but that's not secure. Use manage identity. That's what we're going to have to set up next to get everything up and running. Okay, in Azure here, I've already gone ahead and I created a manage identity user called AI Chat Identity. And here is the client ID. I've already copied this. And in my Key Vault, I've gone ahead and in the secrets here, I've created an Azure client ID and I copied that client ID to the Key Vault. Now, we run this script here to show you. This is where we set the user identity ID, but basically it's just going to grab that client ID from the Key Vault and assign this. And now if we echo this, you'll see this full name here with the name here. We need this because now we are going to redeploy our container with these values. So let's try this again. And I'll show you what I've done here. Let's clear this. We have that user identity ID. And now, okay, so what we've done here, this is the same creating container create. What the lines I've added is, of course, I'm creating the Azure Client ID, passing this in, getting it from the Key Vault. And I am assigning this identity, that variable that we just created. We're assigning the identity on the container instance. So this should be going ahead and it is running. So let's check back when this is done. Okay, this is done. And I just want to show you, I just made one change just so I don't get confused. I just gave it a new name. The container name is new, AI chat new. The domain name is the same. So let's go in here and look at it. And the container, it is up and running. Look at our logs. And yes, it is using our client ID, managed identity, client ID E81. Yes, so that's the managed identity that we just created. Now, if I go in here and I load up this URL, which I already did, and it's loading, so that's great. But let's do one thing. Hello, how are you? And yes, it's not replying back. And we can see here in the logs, it's because that managed identity does not talk to cognitive services here. So we just need to go ahead and fix that, which is why we use managed identity. Let's do that. Okay, I've gone in and loaded that AI chat identity, managed identity user. Let's go in here into the roles. Let's assign a role. Do it on the subscription. Let's see if I can find it. Cognitive Services User. Cognitive Services User, where is it? There it is. Cognitive Services User. Let's go ahead and assign that role to him. And refresh it. Okay, I've gone and actually added a few roles to our managed identity here. I think you just need the Cognitive Services User on the subscription and Cognitive Services OpenAI User. So I've done that. I've added a few more because I was just playing around with it. And let's go ahead and load this again and say, hello, how are you? And we got a response. So we are good. We're up and running and we deployed successfully. And as I said, we didn't put in all our keys. We're not hitting the RAG database now. I could put that back in, but you can see we've already been recording here for over 30 minutes. So that should be good. If you want to go ahead and do those, you can go ahead and play with that and add those values, add them into the Key Vault, those other environment variables. And I just want to show you the container instance. We do have our identity here. That's that AI chat identity, the managed identity user. And if you want to add those other keys, go ahead and do it in the Key Vault. Add those other secrets, because we only have a few of them here. So you probably want to go ahead and add the AI search endpoint and the index name. You don't need the API keys because, again, we're using managed identity. But go ahead and play with it. I hope you have fun and hope you got something out of this, how to deploy it. It's like I said, we're AI engineers. This tutorial wasn't really about AI per se, but it was about deploying your chatbot. That's what you need to do to be an AI engineer. It's not just understanding models and LLMs. It's a lot more in order to satisfy your clients. Okay, wow, that was a lot. But look at the awesome work we did. We have our chatbot running so others can see our awesome work. Good job. Now, as I said, this wasn't really an AI type tutorial. It was more about platform engineering, building, getting it out there. But as I said, an AI engineer is more than just understanding LLMs. You actually have to get things out there so others can see it and we can satisfy our clients. And a friendly reminder, if you like this, please like and subscribe. That'll help me out a lot. And until then, I will see you next time.